Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
great, fine. So let me make it big. Okay, so today December 30, and we are going to discuss very important thing when you start your business. Basically, you target local people, local customer, and the supplies comes from local supplier. The customer are local. Slowly, you move further. The example I quoted last time, I hope you remember. One of my student, he started a venture called furniture on rent.com. So this was a unique idea that generally we take houses on rent, other things, vehicles on rent sometime, but nobody thought about having furniture on rent. So it was a kind of new idea, and after 3 years, when I call him up, where are you? He said, I'm in the USA and launching the same concept. So you start your venture from your local place, but when you enter into international or global market, you have to take very difficult or complex decisions. So what would be that decisions and how to go about that in terms of marketing? And as far as global organizations are concerned, do you need to start your own department abroad, right? Should you continue as exporter? Should you go for licensing? Should you go for franchising? Or maybe some other way of entering into international business or global business? That all things we're going to cover today. And we will move fast today because we need to cover this particular subject, and then we will enter into new one. So here you can see, I hope these slides are visible to all of you. So this is the next slide. It's a global firm. I hope it's visible to all of you. A firm that by operating in more than one country gains research and development, production, marketing, and financial advantages in its cost and
Slides are not changing.
okay. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. Give me just 1 minute. Okay. Oh, sorry. Current slide. Okay. I hope this is visible now. So global firm, a firm that by operating in more than one country. So when you enter into other country, obviously, two questions arise that should you continue with the same standardized product, or you should adopt according to the culture, needs, local wants, local demand, and sometimes local beliefs also. Right? For example, just think of KFC, just think of McD. When they entered here in India, KFC had a lot of issues because we found that they have been using beef. So you need to understand local taste, local culture, local belief, local values. That's very important. So when you mold your product, you adopt yourself according to the local culture, local needs. So you need to enter into research and development also. For example, washing machine here in India we use for washing clothes, but in some country they used for washing potatoes, right? So see here, and temperature in different country would be different. So you need to, and for example, just think of automobile car. Car, we have right side we sit when we drive a car. In some country it's a left side, so you have to make some kind of changes. So you need to work on research and development. Then how much production should you continue with the same production? You have something excess in production that you will supply to other country, or for other country you will have more production in terms of as per the demand. Will it be as far as 4Ps or 7Ps in services, will it be same in international market? For example, Coca-Cola and Pepsi, when they target different countries, they start with local production. They market with local concept. But slowly you might have seen that few advertisement, whether it's Nestle, Pepsi, P&G, you might have seen people from different culture, different country, and song. Basically, they have some background music, and that background music and people are acceptable to the whole world, right? Maybe a kind of music they come out with. And then financial advantages, because when you sell outside, you are going to get money in terms of dollar. Not only in terms of money you are going to get in dollar, what happens when you go for export or go for global business? A lot of subsidy, a lot of advantages, government, local government, Indian government provide you. So, and you develop a reputation that yes, now you are a global competitor, and your business is global. So you would be maintaining quality, and so that is something that really help us. And I've seen a lot of people, they are targeting the whole world now. So it's not necessary that when you think of introducing a particular product, starting a particular venture, it's not mandatory that you will start from your own country. And the whole globe, whole world is your target market. Right, everybody. And now let me move to another slide. I'm sorry, I'm a bit fast today. So here you can see, if operating within a company's own borders was not difficult enough going global. It's simple because there was some limitation. People were not aware of how to go about it. Going global adds many layers of complexity. I hope you all agree with me that a lot of issue, a lot of problem, how to go, where to go, what should we continue with the same product, same marketing, what we should do. So Coca-Cola market its products in hundreds of countries around the globe. Not only Coca-Cola, Microsoft. Just think about Microsoft. Basic product is same, but they add some feature in the basic product. For example, now Microsoft is, I believe, available in Hindi and Indian languages too. So they have to bring some kind of changes. Otherwise, earlier it was a very common standardized product. But they understand that if they want to have maximum market share, they need to adopt the local culture, that is the language, right? So a lot of complexity, maybe in terms of product itself, maybe in terms of marketing, maybe, and the most important thing would be the acceptability of a product. And that will come when you understand culture, you understand political environment, economic environment, and trade practice in that particular country. Right, everybody? So let us move further. Now, big question arises here. Let me make it big. I hope now, when we think of going global, we have very big questions. We have to decide, because it's not possible for all companies, or not all companies needs to venture into international market to survive. For example, most local businesses need to market well only in their local marketplace. Operating domestically is easier and safer. Manager don't need to learn another country's language and laws. Why should I go globally? Is it just money, or there are some other factors also? So as a entrepreneur, as a startup company, or maybe a business organization in India, or maybe in some other country, it would be a very difficult move to go to international market or global market. So better continue with the local market, because you have a competitive advantage. You never know what kind of laws, what kind of language, what kind of people would be there in other country, and you don't know where to export your goods and services. So if you want to export goods and services, do you have any idea who we need to contact for getting some information about countries' needs, countries' demand, what country would like to buy? Any idea, anyone? Pradhuman Gupta, from where we can get some information? Yeah, Pradhuman, on your
Online.
online, is there any way to find out that what kind of needs would be there, what kind of product this particular country would be needed from India or would looking for some product?
Researcher maybe.
Yeah, Pradyuman, tell me.
Maybe some market consultants.
Okay, market consultant, very good. So in India, you all comes to a trade fair, right, in November. Who control the trade fair? Who organize the trade fair? It's an organization, the International Trade Promotion Organization. So next time when you come to trade fair in Pragati Maidan, there is office of ITPO, International Trade Promotion Organization. They have been into this business. And another institution is Institute IIFT, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, right? We have what you call MMTC, State Trading Corporation, STC in Connaught Place, APIDA. So these are different organization, different council also. We have international like T-Board, right? Jute Council. So these different organization, they they get some information from abroad, what kind of products would be needed over there, and they publish a report also, and they do a lot of project work also. Sorry. So these are the sources actually help you to find out what products would be needed in different countries. Should you send your product as it is, or you need to bring some changes in your product? Now, they don't have to deal with unstable currencies. So here, if you continue with local, it's okay. But if you want to enter into international, then you have a lot of complexity in terms of unstable currency, political, legal uncertainty, and most important thing that you need to redesign your product, which will suit the different customer expectation abroad. So, for example, the electricity voltage here in India would be different, right? And if you go abroad in other country, you will see the volt would be different as far as electricity is concerned. So you would be needed different electronic products. The basic concept would be same, but you need to put some different, instruments so that it will be working as per the, electricity supply, right? So I hope this is visible now. Let me tell where we are. Okay. Now, second question, because it's a complex, very complex when you enter into international business, international global market. Now, how to enter? The company also need to choose in how many countries it wants to market. Would you like to go to one country, two country, three country, four country, five, or all country? Right. So that you need to understand that, okay, these are the different country. Like for example, generally what we do, we start from nearby country, right? Because nearby, for example, if you talk about Bhutan, Nepal, Malaysia, Thailand, these are neighbor country. So it would be very easy because we have some knowledge about these country. If you directly jump to other country, maybe in Europe or Africa or South America, it would be very difficult for us, maybe a challenge for us, because they are far away from here. And secondly, what kind of needs, what kind of culture they have, it's very difficult to understand. Next, the company needs to decide on the types of country to enter. So you are planning, suppose you have some advanced new product, would you like to enter into third world country, second world country, or the advanced country, developing country, developed country, right? A country's attractiveness depends on the product, right? Geographical factors, income, population, political climate, and there may be other factors. Moni, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Do you think income would be a very important variable when you want to enter into other country?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Income has to be there so that we can go on.
Yeah. So
If it's not
if,
there,
yeah,
why would we even enter?
right. Suppose we have an advanced product, right? It would be very difficult for us,
Yes, sir.
right? During COVID, we have had a perception that a lot of people are losing their jobs in India, right? But there is another statistics also that a lot of people are buying Lamborghini car brand, which comes in crore, and they all are not in metropolitan city, but in small city in India, or even small city in India, people can afford to buy Lamborghini, right? So here you see income play a very, very important role. Let me go to next slide. Okay. Okay. So once a company has decided to sell in a foreign country, it must determine the best mode of entry, how to enter. So you have 3 or 4 options. Indirect export, because you're not very good, you don't know who would be there in other countries. So you have agent in India. These agent will supply your products, goods on your behalf. So they can buy from you, for example, tea. Generally, when you think of a tea, what comes in your mind? It's a Darjeeling tea. So Darjeeling, those who are in tea state honor, what they do, can they export themselves? So generally what they do, they find out agent in India, and these agents supply export goods to other country, right? This is one. So it's a kind of indirect exporting. Now, over the period of time, you have learned that there is a demand in particular company. So instead of finding out agent in your own country, or maybe agent in other country, right? They frequently visit your country, and they tell you that this kind of product would be needed. They buy from you. There may be another indirect, export that, for example, you put your stuff, you put your goods in international trade fair, foreigners come and they buy, and then they give you order, but you don't know how to export, right? Because excise duty, import duty, export duty, or other documentation, it's not easy for you. So you need someone, you need some agency. The agencies are known as factoring organization. So there are formal organization called factoring organization. What they do, they take care of all documentation, accounting, finance, everything for you, take care of export duty, and then you can supply this all goods. So you have indirect export, that means you have agent in India or maybe agent in other country, but you are directly not involved in exporting or importing. The second method would be that you start finding out where products are needed. So you have your own one department, export department. This export department take care of all excise duty, export import documentation, and find out and finance also, right? Because when you sell your goods abroad, it's not mandatory that you will be getting your money, because there may be a person who is there and he said that I have received this good, but the quality of goods is not up to the mark, so I'm not going to pay money. So in that case, you have a bill of exchange, one concept in finance, letter of credit, another concept in finance. We are not talking about that letter of credit and bill of exchange. I hope you understand these concepts. So what we will do, we'll take care of all these activity ourselves. So we are moving one step ahead. So from indirect to direct export. So slowly you see that, okay, we have developed a good relationship with our importers. So you open one branch in other country, right? So this is what slowly you are moving into international business. Slowly you are moving into a global. Then you see that, okay, I don't need to go to that place. So I give the license because my brand is so famous. For example, Starbucks. So Starbucks, when they came here, so what they do they need to purchase land? Do they need to purchase offices, shops? Not all. What they do, generally they purchase one office and then they give franchisee or licensing. And maybe you find for example, Jaguar and Tata acquire Jaguar, right? So then you go further and have joint venture, merger, acquisition, right? And slowly you acquire the whole company abroad. So this is the process. This is the process from indirect to direct exporting, or direct, entering into international global market. Its choice are exporting, as I mentioned, joint venturing, and maybe a direct investment. That directly you go and acquire that company. Now, a lot of Indian companies have acquired foreign companies abroad, And it may be because we have money, we have expertise, we know. Or generally what happens, you might have seen that lot of multinational company, they enter here in India. Maybe Grofers, I don't know whether it was an Indian company, I believe it was an Indian company. Now they have changed the name of Grofer, they call it Blinkit. It means that some international company would have purchased or acquired the Grofers. So a lot of international companies, they come here, they buy small companies, because these small companies, they have some competitive advantage. And who run these small companies? People like you. These are small startups, but have good impact on the society in terms of market share, in terms of quality products, maybe in terms of something which is very new, right? So these are the different forms. I'm not going to discuss them in detail, but I hope you now understand, right? So let me go to next slide. Okay. So from current slide. Oh. We have joint venture entering foreign market by joining with foreign companies to produce or market a product or service. So it's not possible for you to go to each and every market and take care of production and other activities. So better you have a joint venture. And sometime your brand is so good, like as I mentioned, Starbucks, McD, right? You have a licensing, you have a franchising. Then, okay. Then we have contract manufacturing, a joint venture in which a company contract with the manufacturers in a foreign market to produce the product. So generally this happens. That's why Bangladesh has become a hub for garments, products. A lot of international company, what they do, they request the exporter in Bangladesh that we are giving you order as a contract manufacturing. Now we have a joint venture. This is our brand, but we'll buy from you, right? We'll put our brand on that and we'll sell in the international market. But Bangladesh say that when you sell it with your own brand, but you need to mention the origin place of this particular product, especially in garments. So whenever you buy stuff, when you go to other country and you buy some stuff there, in especially in garments, apparel, you will see on a chit that it's made in Bangladesh, right? Same thing with the management also, management contracting, a joint venture in which the domestic firm supplies the men. So sometimes it's not a whole product, but you need to provide the strategy, knowledge, right? Technical know-how to the foreign company, right? Then you have a direct investment, as I mentioned, entering a foreign market by developing foreign-based assembly or manufacturing facility. So now you have that, skills, you have that confidence that you will have a good relation with a particular country, right? And then you feel that you will be safe as far as political and economical, what do you call, environment is concerned. Then you start and enter into that market. And instead of supplying goods and services to that country, you start production of goods and services over there. And sometimes what happens, developed nation, they come to developing countries because the laws are not so stringent. You have cheap labor, raw material as low cost. So they, they switch over their production from developed nation to developing nation. For example, in service sector, what is going on, especially in IT, a lot of international company, they have opened their offices in Gurugram, Hyderabad, Bangalore, right, Noida. The reason is simple. They know the Indian environment. They know we have skills in IT sector. Labor is cheap, facilities are good. So instead of having this production of goods and services in advanced country, developed country, they become to developing countries. And developing countries, what they look for, they are looking for third world country, right? So this process, this is called international product life cycle. This is called international. You have PLC, you know the PLC. Manju Kapoor. Manju Kapoor.
Yes, sir.
PLC, product life cycle, marketing. Pardhuman Gupta,
Yes, sir.
PLC in marketing, any idea? Product life cycle? No?
How a product is introduced. Or maybe
And anything else?
product
Right.
testing before launching it to the market.
Oh, great. Pragya,
Yes, I think
any
product
idea?
life cycle is the strategies or the techniques which are used to launch a product, and for the time period, as the time changes, the strategies change.
Okay. Radhika Mehra, yeah. Radhika Mehra.
So it involves the phases in which a product is introduced. So at
Very
first, the
good.
knowledge of the product is very less.
Mm-hmm.
So the prices are more initially,
Okay.
just to cover the
So
cost
what are
which
the
is
different
incurred.
stages of PLC?
So as such, I can't recall the names, but I know that initially advertising is very high.
Anyone?
It will
Okay.
just
Okay.
let the
Right. Anyone?
So,
Anyone?
introduction,
Introduction. Great.
then after that something growth and
Uh-huh.
maturity, then decline.
Okay, great. I hope you know now. Thank you, Anshul. Thank you. So similarly, like we have PLC for a product, we have PLC, which is called International Product Life Cycle in international business or global business also. So in international business, what happened? Innovation, invention take place in developed country. Now, developed country, they satisfy their own market and slowly enter into other market, right? And then they see that there is a huge demand in second world countries. So they move their all resources to the second world country because laws are not so stringent. The labor is cheap, right? So they stop, production and exporting of goods and services in their own country. Instead, they start producing in second world country. Now, instead of exporting, what they do, they import from second world country. Now, slowly, second world country, they find a similar kind of opportunity in third world country, right? So over the period of time, they move into other third world country. So now you see innovation, invention take place in developed nation, right? They create product, commercialize it, they sell it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and slowly they transfer the whole technology production to the second world country. So this is what international product life cycle. Sorry. So this is what, now let us move further. Another question, when we have to take decision in global market, global decisions we are talking about, we need to decide on global marketing program. Should we continue with a standardized global marketing? Should we continue that we have this global local advertisement, local product, local feature, local quality, local color, local design? Or we need to bring some change. For example, Aloo Tikki by McD. That Aloo Tikki concept is not there in other country, but here in India, right? When you think of burger, it's always aloo tikki, right? So you have to bring some changes in your product when you launch in an international market. For example, the taste of Coca-Cola. We prefer to have some more sweetness in soft drink. You go to other country, over there they prefer not as more sweetness, but maybe some tangy or maybe some other taste. So it depends from country to country, people to people, culture to culture, what they are looking for. So here you need to decide. For example, as I mentioned, Microsoft have had very limited market share. The reason was that the programming or the software they were offering, the operating system they were operating, the office they were offering, MS Office they were offering, it was in English. But slowly they started, changing the language as per the country. Now they have gone up to such extent that not only the country language, but the local language in that particular country. For example, in India, they have launched approximately in more than 10 languages. So this is what, same thing with the Google also. You have noticed that, or the maybe a Facebook, I don't know whether LinkedIn or some other. Recently, I saw advertisement and they say that now these things are available in Hindi also. So slowly you will see that they will cover the all Indian languages. So this is what you need to bring you need to bring some change in your global product, and accordingly you need to market your product. Now, so should we continue the standardized global marketing? So an international marketing strategy that basically use the same marketing strategy and mix in all of the company's international market. So same product, right? Same marketing strategy. Maybe, for example, iPhone, same product, international, whole world, same product, right? No changes at all. Second could be, okay, adaptive global marketing and international marketing strategy that adjusts the marketing strategy and makes elements to each international target market. So you need to align yourself, you need to change yourself according to the international market demand. Each and every country, right? Each and every country will have their own limitation, will have their own terms and condition, will have their own aesthetic concept, will have their own like and dislike, taste, preferences. So you need to think about that. If you don't mold your product, if you don't adjust your marketing strategy, then I don't think that it would be easy for you to enter into that particular market. Okay. Now, very important thing, as I mentioned in starting, that you will continue as indirect exporter, or you will start your own department within your own country, or you will open an office abroad. So that is what kind of organization form you will have. So company manage their international market activities in at least 3 different ways. First, most companies first organize an export department. So export department may be direct export or indirect export. Indirect export, I already have discussed that you have export department, but it's not so active. They see some agent in India or maybe agent abroad. So these agent will take care of all your exports. So directly you're not involved in exporting, but slowly you learn that, okay, there is a huge demand of your product. Why to pay commission to all agent take all this money away? So better you be active. Now you take care of all export import document, you take care of the local demand over there, you understand the supply, right? What kind of product they are looking for. So you open your own department and continue with the export. Second, then create an international division, right? Now, when you move from export to international, basically you're trying to figure out what kind of needs, what kind of different product, what kind of tastes these people are looking for. So accordingly, you bring some change in your product. And then finally, you become a global organization that you have entered up to such extent in international market. For example, IKEA. Just think of IKEA. Can they sell the same product they are selling USA, the same product they can offer in India? Right? So in USA, as I mentioned, basic product remains same, but the feature you add on that are different. So when IKEA enter here in India, they might have seen that in India, generally people have very small houses. So accordingly, IKEA has changed all its product range, right? Now, so before you enter into international market, what you need to do, you need to understand the preferences, the limitations, the buying behavior. And now IKEA has opened an office over here. So IKEA is taking care of one thing, that procure all the raw material, produce that goods and services, and then sell. Second alternative is, don't go for production, take it from the local people, tell them that these are the standard, these are the norms you have to follow, and then put your brand and sell here in India. Right? So this is what, when international company comes, you feel that they will follow all standards, all quality. So now you're sure that, okay, you're going to get a brand, the brand with high reputation. High reputation means they always offer good quality, right? Product quality is good. Service would be good because it's an international company. So for supplying these services, for supplying all this, to develop that confidence, you need to open an office in that particular country. And now you would have seen that very important thing, Indian government, there was a fight between this service organization. I'm talking about, I believe, yeah, like this Walmart and these all organization, Ola, Uber. If international company, they enter into this kind of venture, then they have to show physical presence also here in India, right? I'm talking about this, as I mentioned, Walmart, right? So if you have any complaint, especially Walmart is basically in physical, but if you are on online services, right? For example, Amazon. Now Amazon has to show some place physically. So there was a fight between these international company and Indian government, that if something happened, then where they will approach. Should they go abroad to find out where you are, right? Because everything is online, right? So they say that you need to open an office also in India. So now you will see office of Google, office of Facebook, these all organization, Twitter even, they all have organization, physical presence in India also, right? Okay, so let us go next. So international divisions are organized in a variety of ways, and international divisions, corporate staff consist of marketing, manufacturing, research, finance, planning, and personal specialist. So when you open your office, you want to procure resources from there, you want to produce that resources, and you want to market that product there and abroad also. So you will have these all international divisions will have corporate staff consist of marketing, manufacturing, research, finance, planning, and HRM. It plans for and provides services to various operating units, which can be organized in one or three ways. And I'm talking about so they can be geographical organizations with country managers who are responsible for sales people, sales branches, distribution, license. So basically, when you enter into different regions, right? Maybe different regions means that you enter into Europe, Asia. So you should have some, offices over there. And these offices will have sales branch, will have distribution channel. So instead of, manufacturing goods and services, what you take care of? You take care of distribution, you take care of selling, you take care of marketing, right? You take care of distribution. And for that, what you need to do, you need to go for licensing in different countries, because it's not possible for you in starting to have production of goods and services in other countries. So you will produce at one place, maybe in your own country or maybe in other country, but in other geographical areas, what you will do, you will have an office for what? To take care of sell, to take care of distribution, to take care of selling goods and services. For that, what you do, you give the license. Or if you go further, then you will have operating units also. And operating units can be world product groups, each responsible for the worldwide sale of different product group. So in starting, instead of going for production in each and every country, what you do, production at one place and then distribution of goods in geographically in different places. Second step would be that now you see that it would be not easy, it would be costly to produce goods and services at one place and distribute to the whole geographical area. So at different places you start your operating unit. So for example, Bata, Bata have one policy. They are operating in more than 100 countries. They produce locally in each and every country, market locally, and supply locally, right? But the company is Bata. So they have entered into up to such extent in the culture that, or their presence is so good in different country. The local culture, the local people, they feel that Bata is the Indian company or the local company. So you may have different strategy if you're a new company. So instead of having operating unit in each and every country, what you do, you have geographical offices to take care of sale, to take care of distribution, to take care of quality or other matter. But slowly, if you feel that you are happy with, or that there would be a demand, you understand political limitation, you understand legal limitation also. So then slowly you enter and start your own operating units. For example, recently Samsung started operating unit in India, right? It may be because of political relationship we have developed over the period of time. Same thing, we wanted that iPhone should come here and start production in India. So that is what operating unit will be in other country too. Finally, operating units can be international subsidiaries. So now slowly you will move production different countries, different subsidiaries, right? And in marketing, there is a concept of strategic business units. So strategic business units means that each and every operating unit would be a profit center, right? So, and they need to take care of their marketing, they need to take care of their human resource, they need to take care of all their resources and profit. So if that operating unit is not working properly, so then you need to take care of that what we should do so that it become a profit center. So that is basically strategic business units. Maybe in some country, generally it's about the whole project, right? It's about whole project in terms of operating unit. Now next, let us go quickly because we have to cover this, I believe, today, if we can complete this. Now, so beside this different decisions which we need to take globally, we have these other parameters. You might have studied this in your marketing also. But when we go for global marketing, it's not only your own domestic politics, local legal limitations, cultural foundation, economic status of your own domestic country, but in international, global also, you need to take care of this, right? And the most important among them, political, because it's overall, you can see, legal also, you can see the overall written policies. Culture is something which vary from, I think, for example, in USA also, they may have one language, one law, but the local culture, right? When you, because they have, different states, when you go from one state to another state, some states are, very cold. Some states are, dry, that no rain. So this is what, according to the local environment, local resources, you have developed some kind of culture also. So culture is somewhere linked with the local resources or the natural resources also, right? So they may have different habits, different preferences as per the local resources, local nature or environment. So it's not only in India that our culture is different. When you cross 50 kilometers, you will see a different kind of preferences. Taste of water would be different, that people say, instead of what we call it boli, that हर 50 miles पर बोली हमारी change हो जाती है, या खाने पीने की habits change होती हैं. Similarly, if you go to the other part of in the world, you will see a culture would be different. So the biggest challenge for all of us would be the culture. So, so what I do, if you have any question, you can ask right now. Any question, anyone? So I request you all, if you haven't not completed your assignment, do it fast, right? So any question, anyone? Sorry. Let me see who will summarize what we discussed today. Gunjan. 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 Prabhat. Gunjan. Prabhat. Gunjan. Prabhat. Prabhat. Riya Mitra. Riya Mitra. Riya Mitra. Rahul Singh.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Rahul, can you summarize what we discussed today?
Sir, basically, we depend, culture depend. You give an example of KCF in India, how to ban their environment, and there are also example in Barbie dolls ban हो गई थी Arab में because they are wearing a short dress. Then you give example, global major decision. The global major decision there.
Thank you,
give
Rahul. Thank
example
you.
of Coca-Cola.
Thank you, Rahul. Rakshit. Rakshit. Nisha Chauhan. Nisha Chauhan. Nisha Chauhan. Yashika Chandra. Yashika Chandra.
So,
Yeah. Yashika, could you summarize what discussion we have had today?
so we had the discussion about the global markets, that how can one not only constrain its business in the domestic territory, but as well can go global. And then so we also talked about that how the global markets. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So actually, I'm having a bad throat right now.
Okay. Pooja Ramesh. Pooja Ramesh.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Pooja.
So we basically talked about the standardized global markets and adapted global marketing, and how to enter such global markets. And we talked about the export, and how to, make changes to your product so that
Okay, fine. Srishti Virmani. Srishti Virmani. Srishti Virmani. Radhika Mehra.
Yes, sir.
Anything left which these 2 or 3 people have not discussed? Any add-on to our discussion, Radhika?
So just that you throw the light upon PLC as well. The brands do take care of income of the country they are going to enter, the cost, the labor, and why do they enter that particular company. So knowledge of all these points is very necessary for a company to shift their place of operations.
Okay, Radhika, have you submitted your assignment last time I had given?
No, sir, not yet.
Is there any issue?
Not with assignments, sir, but of course we were surrounded and busy with other stuff as well, and we have a lot many assignments for marketing as well. Generally, we
Okay.
do have only
So-
2.
Okay. So you are submitting all other, not mine. Is it so?
So I have submitted other projects as well, but because for marketing itself we have 4 to 5, and for other subjects we have just 2, depending upon the process we have in the college.
No, simultaneously you are performing all project, or just because I am sending a project every week, you have some problem.
So because we have one every
So
week
where is
or
the
so.
issue? It hardly take half an hour. Did I give you a more than 2 pages assignment?
No, sir, that is also true, but Baki
So
projects we
then,
have.
so Baki you said that it's hardly 2 projects in each other subjects.
But
Where is
that,
the issue?
but वो भी अभी ongoing है ना, sir, and we have presentations for them
That
as
is
well.
okay, but it hardly take less than half an hour. So you
Yes.
report
Taking
to
an
your-
interview takes time.
No, that is okay. Report to your director that we are not able to do your. So if you are not able to do your work, please tell the director that you are not able to do it. Is it okay, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you. Today I will give you another assignment. If you are not, you don't want to do, tell that you are busy, all are busy. And it's a big assignment, more than 2 pages assignment. Thank you very much for today. Yeah.
Sir, actually we are currently lined up with 5 subjects assignment and they उनके तो अभी marking भी नहीं हुई है. It's like मतलब आपके तो हम लोगों ने फिर भी 5 to 6 assignments कर दिए हैं, but उनका mid semester की बात से कि उनका first
No,
assignment.
I'm not concerned what they do. I'm concerned about my own subject. And I haven't given any assignment which is more than 2 pages, right? I said write 1 pages only. I'm happy with that.
But we have a continuous deadline from 31st to 5th January, and we are actually struggling with those deadlines only.
So it is really good. You write an email to me that you're stuck with this assignment, but nobody has given any excuse till now. So what would be my feeling? Tell me.
So, but you could have given us a proper project for a proper project, which
See,
could have.
see the way I'm teaching, I like the assignment. Where is the issue? When you are not able to write 2 pages issue, how you will be writing the project?
No, so you are giving us like a.
If you're not able to write, send me an email, sir. We have some limitation, extend the date. I don't mind. Yes, Yashika. Did you tell me earlier that, sir, we have a limitation? We have other assignment also, extend the date, or don't give any assignment now. Did you inform me, anyone?
So we have informed you
Earlier
about.
also, last week also, you said, sir, give us 2 or 3 days because we are out of station. I said, okay, take 3 or 4 days, I don't mind. But at least tell me that you are in trouble, you have other assignment also. When I am asking, then you are telling me, sir, this is the limitation. Tell me, send me an email. I'm available on Google also. Reply me, sir, you have some limitation.
So sorry about that, sir, but can we have the next
No, that
assignment
is
after
okay.
9th
See,
January?
if you're not telling me, how do I know that you have this limitation? You have extra work, you have so many assignment. How do I know? So Yashika, tell me how many days you want for last assignment?
So can we have it like after January 10th?
I give you January 15th. Will it be okay, everybody? Yashika, it's okay?
Yes, sir.
Huh? So tell
Yes, sir.
me, I don't mind. So you at least let me know that, sir, we have a limitation. We are over flooded with the assignment. So extend the date. Last time also I extended the date.
Also, can you give us the marks on the SIS portal for the assignment we have submitted till now?
Sorry.
So the marks for the assignment we have submitted up till now, can you upload the marks for those assignment on the SIS portal?
See, assignment, always I reply you that, okay, thank you, you have uploaded. The marks I will give in total. Where is the issue? And this, see, believe me, do you really here for securing only marks, or you are here to learn something, Yashika?
No, so
Marks
not
are important, I
marks.
believe, but beside that, I think learning is important, especially in master program.
Yes, sir, learning is important, but the thing is that, if you
So
get,
you
if,
are here submitting your this assignment just for marks.
no, sir, if you're getting low marks, that means you are somewhere lacking.
So that you can talk to me, sir, you give me marks, but nobody come out and say, tell me that you're looking for marks.
Okay, sir. Okay.
At least make a effort. Marks is secondary for all of us. My marks I will give you, that's not a problem. But at least try to make some effort and submit assignment.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're submitting, you are supposed to get good marks. That's not a problem, but at least make an effort. So I hope there will be no excuse after January 10. I know you are flooded with a lot of work. I can see that a lot of people, they are busy. They are visiting, Manali or other places. If you want, I can extend the date, but this is not the way you are not replying. If you have some issue, you can talk to me on Google Class. You all have my mobile phone also. Okay, thank you for today. We'll meet tomorrow.